and welcome to WXYZ Eyewitness News. I'm Sarah Berry.
And I'm Eric Keeler.
And we are discussing the basics of nuclear energy and its consequences.
That's right. Those of you out there watching may be wondering, what is nuclear energy?
Nuclear energy gives us nearly 14% of the world's electricity, and many of us have no idea how it works. To shed a new light on this process, we have with us today nuclear chemist Dr. Drew Bergman from the University of Munich, Germany.
Can you hear us, Dr. Bergman?
Oh yeah, hear you loud and clear in the studio, Mr. Keeler. First of all, to understand the concept of nuclear energy, we need to understand the concept of nuclear fission. Nuclear fission occurs when an accelerated neutron is fired at the isotope uranium-235. This is called neutron bombardment. When this occurs, the uranium-235 becomes uranium-236, which splits very quickly into two separate elements, barium and krypton. 3 neutrons are also lost in the process. Those neutrons then react with other uranium-235 or uranium-238 isotopes in the reactor, forming a chain reaction. During this whole process, a tremendous amount of thermal energy is produced. All the thermal energy heats up the water that surrounds the main reactor, turning it into steam. This steam turns a turbine, thus generating electricity. Unglaublich!
Can you tell us a little more about what happens with the energy after it's produced? What does it provide us with?
Well, nuclear energy not only provides us with electricity, but with many other things as well. The same technology is used to increase agricultural production. It's also used in radiation therapy, for cancer treatment, and monitoring levels of toxic substances in food, air, and water.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We'll see you later on in the broadcast. Well, now we know how nuclear energy works.
But is it a viable option?
Let's discuss some benefits and limitations.
Let's start with the benefits. The energy produced in nuclear fission is 10 million times the energy obtained by burning the same mass of coal.
Also, nuclear energy has low emission levels. In other words, nuclear fission leads to almost zero greenhouse gas emission. Compared to things like coal, nuclear energy is a very green and clean way to go.
Another benefit of nuclear energy is that it's very reliable. It's not affected by strikes and shortages around the world like, for example, oil.
Now for some limitations. An obvious limitation, in light of current events, is nuclear meltdown and disaster.
If nuclear power plants are not designed, maintained, and taken care of correctly, the effects can be disastrous.
Perhaps one of the most highly debated topics of nuclear energy today is radioactive waste disposal.
After the nuclear reaction is complete, we are left with waste, which is radioactive and harmful to the environment. It will take thousands or even millions of years for the waste to decay.
Now we will bring back Dr. Drew Bergman and ask him a few more questions.
Doctor, we talked about nuclear energy in the big picture, but how can it affect us in our daily lives?
Well, there are both positive and negative ways it can affect us. First and foremost, it gives us power every day. But if you live near a nuclear power plant, there's a chance of a meltdown, like the one in Japan. And that would definitely put a damper on your day.
Doctor, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about some ethics. What are some of the opposing points of view on this topic?
There are many different ways of looking at this, Miss Berry. Many people look at nuclear energy as wrong. They say things like, we shouldn't use the same technology we use for violence to provide us with energy. Many people also refuse to receive radiation therapy because they believe it's wrong and unnatural. On the other hand, many people believe nuclear energy to be cleaner and better.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Dr. Bergman. And I'm Eric Keeler.
And I'm Sarah Berry. And thank you for joining us on this WXYZ broadcast.
Start over.